Hi guys, my name is Ellen and welcome back to my channel. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that whenever I do post new content, you can get to it first. Okay, so I'm a blogger, so I mostly blog and speak about women's health. I speak about sex, I speak about religion and travel and lots of different things. I like to mingle in all of different, I like to dabble in stuff. But today I'm going to be speaking about women's health, and in particular, I'm going to be speaking about yeast infection. Now, this is a topic that is important to me because it's something that I have also gone through, and I know the hardships that I went through to get out of it and to deal with it and to know what it is, and mostly knowing what it is and getting to that part where you know something is wrong and you need help is the biggest part, because first you deal with other things that are not the actual problem, and that usually causes more harm than good, because vaginas are they're very sensitive, they're very delicate, and if you do the wrong thing one after the other, it's only going to get worse. So let's talk about what yeast infection is, because this is the important thing. This is like the heart of the issue, where most people don't realize what it is, what they do, but they don't know what to do about it. So what yeast infection is, it's when different habits, different environments, different foods, or mostly habits affect the your yoni juice. Okay, let's call it yoni juice today because it kind of sounds nice. So so the way that it is affected, I think most of the time our yoni juice is depending on on your time, like the time of your cycle. Mostly it can be when you're very fertile. I think it's colorless, and any other part of the times it's sort of like a creamy white, not yellow, but like not too white, but just like kind of creamish most of the time. So when you're someone that is suffering from yeast infection, this is not like an all-rounder thing. It's just something that happens in parts and parts. But when you are going through yeast infection, your your yoni juice kind of thickens. It thickens very much to a point where it's actually uncomfortable, and you produce yoni juice faster than you normally would, and it would sort of feel like how you feel when you're on your period and you can feel that, okay, some blood is coming out here. It's sort of the same thing, and the texture of your yoni juice at this point is that, like I said, it's very thick, and the only thing that I can compare it to is coated cheese. It's that bad. It doesn't exactly have like a foul smell. It doesn't smell bad. If it smells really bad, it's probably not yeast infection, it's something else. But it doesn't smell the way that your yoni usually smells. It probably smells like a little bit musky. It's not like a pleasant smell, but it's not a bad smell either way. And if you leave it unattended, if the problem persists and you leave it like that, sometimes it can get to the highest level that it can get to is that it can start to almost turn like a very light green. It goes to like a almost like it's going to turn yellow, and then it turns green. That's when you know that you're at the highest level of yeast infection and you really need to seek medical attention. So the first time that I had yeast infection, it was at a very it was like at a very slight level, and because I quickly noticed things when they happen to my body, I was trying out different things, because at first, though, the first fear is that maybe I have a sexually transmitted disease. That's the first thing that crosses a lot of ladies' minds. But yeast infection is not a sexually transmitted disease. It's just something that happens because of certain things. Things that cause yeast infection range from wearing tight pants, lace. You need cotton underwear. Our mothers are always telling us that cotton underwear is important, and it is so important. Okay, this is the realest truth, and you need to come to terms with cotton underwear, cotton underwear, cotton underwear is very important. Don't wear tight clothing. Don't wear tight jeans. Wear your cotton underwear. Certain foods also do affect, but this one is very personal because you would have to know, because not two people are the same. So you would need to check how you respond. Like if you already have yeast infection, try to check the things that you are doing on a daily basis. And if you think something is probably the one causing it, then pull it out. Don't do that. Try something else. Okay. So when I first started having it, like I said, I wasn't exactly sure what it was, and it was a very confusing time for me. So what I did was, I started using this clotrimazole, clotrimazole cream. So the thing is with clotrimazole, it's with, let's call it clotty, okay? Okay, let's not clot it. With clotry, the thing is, it doesn't deal with the situation, it just fixes the symptoms. The symptoms are, you not only have this yoni just clotting that is happening, but you also have a lot of itching, and this is the most terrible part about having yeast infection, is your whole organs feel so itchy, and it gets so bad to a point that when you do try to scratch, because this is a very sensitive area, when you do scratch, you're gonna hurt yourself. The worst things that have happened to me were that I started bleeding, because you feel like scratching, and the scratching feels so good, but at the same time it burns, because this is not an area that you're supposed to scratch like you're scratching your hand. You know, that's not how it works. This is like more, the skin is very sensitive. It's not as strong as like the skin on the rest of your body anyway. So the worst thing that has happened to me is that I got super inflamed. I was hurting myself because the way it gets inflamed is like all the outer parts of your vagina, because the skin is it's not as strong, it quickly gets inflamed, and then it swells up. And that is the worst thing to go through for a woman. You don't want to see your intimate parts blow up like that. It's scary. It's scary. So I guess the next thing we should be going to is, how do you fix this? How did I fix this is what the question is. Because for different people, there's different remedies. For me, I tried the clotrimazole. It might work for some people, but for me, it would only fix the problem there. So I would probably feel a lot of relief for like half a day, and then by night time, my yoni juice is already much more. At first, it sort of gets thin before it thickens, and sometimes it's like a mixture. So it's like coated cheese in soup. It's disgusting, I know. But yeah, that is what it is. So by the end of the day, I would notice that my discharge was thinning and thickening again, and then the itching starts, and then it's a cycle all over again. So I tried different things. When I would feel very inflamed, this is like a tip that you can do when you get to those points. When it got very inflamed, I would sit in a bucket full of warm water, lukewarm water, because you don't want to burn yourself. Lukewarm water with salt. That relieves the itching very much. But if you truly want to if you truly want to fix this problem, not fix it like forever, because there'll always be triggers, but if you want to fix it for a bit of a long term, to stop the itching, to stop the inflaming, to stop the infection, what you'd want to do is to use apple cider vinegar. This has been like the holy grail of my womanhood. Apple cider vinegar is, you need to have apple cider vinegar if you're a woman. If you're watching this and you're a dude, buy apple cider for your mom, buy it for your aunt, buy it for your grandma, buy it for your girlfriend, buy it for your sister, buy it for every female in your life. They'll have one way to use it. If they're not gonna use it in food, they're gonna use it for their hair. because our hair loves apple cider vinegar. It's good for cleansing it and all of these things, but it is also good for your vagina, because it not only for when you have yeast, but even when you don't have yeast, apple cider vinegar is just a miracle worker. Okay, but disclaimer, you don't use apple cider raw like that. You need to dilute it. Okay, so use very little of it because it's extremely acidic, and like we said, this area is very sensitive, so you need to dilute it with water. And yeah, make sure that you don't burn yourself or hurt yourself. So use apple cider vinegar, and that is going to stop, because of its acidity, it's going to clear off most of the bacteria. In a huge flow of bacteria or less of bacteria in your vagina upsets your pH. Okay, and when it affects your pH, then that's mostly when you get yeast infection, or you can get other things, but mostly yeast infection is what I know. So use apple cider vinegar. It helps to put like a bit of a balance. Bacteria is good for your vagina, okay? It's good, but too much of it or too less of it is also very bad. It just needs like a little bit of a balance, and apple cider helps to somehow create some of that balance, which is why it's important. So buy apple cider vinegar. You can sort of like wash your vagina with it, or sit in it, or douse something like that. Dousing is not usually it's not usually encouraged, but when you do have yeast infection, it's what I did. I'm only giving out the information that I did. I'm not saying this is something that works for everybody, but it is something that definitely worked for me, and it might work for you. And I'm really hoping it works for you, because yeast infection is a bad situation. So, oh, and when you do have yeast infection, try not to have sexual activities. Don't have sex, because what happens is males can get yeast infection, but it doesn't show in the way that it does for us. They don't get clotted cum and stuff like that. What happens is that they're more of a carrier of the yeast. So if you are trying to deal with the yeast infection, if you have sex with your boyfriend, he's gonna get the infection, and then when you guys have sex, it's almost like you're just passing the infection back and forth, and you're not gonna get better, and you're gonna think something's wrong, but it's just because someone's keeping a handful of the infection to give it back to you later. So it's probably best to first deal with the situation before you get back to having sex. But apple cider vinegar does make the weight a bit lesser. So I really do hope this is information that helps everybody. I hope it helps most people. Like I said, it's not the same for everybody, but I think apple cider vinegar is a little bit more natural than medication and the creams, because they don't always help, and they only help you for a certain amount of time. But apple cider vinegar has worked for me, and I hope it works for you. But if you do have questions about this, because it's a lot of things that I cannot mention in, like, I'm trying to keep this as short as possible and to the point. But if you do have questions about yeast infection or anything else like that, like BV and all of those things, please, I'd love to know what you're currently going through. I'd love to help you out. I've gone through a lot of things. This is why I blog about women's reproductive health, and why I blog about sex, because I think for a 24-year-old, I've gone through a lot of things, and I really do hope this is something that helps somebody. So let me know. I'm gonna put my social media links here, so that if you don't want to put it in the comments here, you can still reach me on my social media. I'd love to speak to any of you. So girls, be kind to each other, be kind to your bodies, be safe. I love you all, and I hope this video really helped. If it didn't, or if there's more that you would want me to talk about, let me know. I'd love to talk about it. All right, take care of yourselves and be safe.